impact when it comes to that.
And Jason Lowe now in his 4th year here at Boston College. Before that, 5 seasons as assistant coach at his alma mater, Wake Forest. We'll get to BC's starting 11 in just a few moments, but we are underway in Newton, Massachusetts. Boston College, 4-4-3 on the year. 0-3 in their start to the ACC play this year, but Notre Dame coming in just 1-2, hoping to turn that beginning around after starting 7-0 this year. Perfect non-conference, the first one since 2008. And what did they do that season? Well, they went to the NCAA title game, and Kerry Hanks won the Mac Herman Trophy. So it ended up pretty well, if history is any indicator. Boston College in the white uniforms and the road navy for Notre Dame. Morgan, keys to the game here for the Irish and the Eagles.
Yeah, so Notre Dame, they have to make adjustments on the fly. That was something that Nate Norman said. He said, Boston College, we've seen them play a little bit different in different games. We don't really know what to expect, so we have to identify it early and make the needed adjustments. And then we mentioned it in the open, but they have to be sharp in the attacking third. This team is one of the top teams in the country when it comes to shots per game, but their goals don't fully match up to that. So can they be sharp and finish today?
Kiki Van Zenten for Notre Dame, wearing number 7. Back on the ball for the Fighting Irish. See her in the attacking midfield part of that 3-5-2. Played in the CONCACAF Women's Championship over the summer with Jamaica. Scored 2 goals, including in the 3rd place game against Costa Rica. Some room to operate now for BC. Out wide to Emily Sapienza, the Rutgers transfer, playing 2 years for the Scarlet Knights, and collected easily by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish goalkeeper Mackenzie Wood. All right, for Boston College, what do the Eagles do to get away with a win?
They focused a lot this past week. It's just a 1-game week in ACC play. It doesn't happen a lot, and a lot of their focus has been on individual defending. It's an opportunity for them as a team, so when they're stuck defending, how are they doing 1v1? Obviously, you need to be on the same page as a team, but in those individual battles, are they winning them? And then they have to compete. Jason Lowe told us they have to stay in this game and have a strong first 15 minutes so that they know that they can play in the game. They've had some trouble when they give up early goals, so for them, it's important to compete, especially from the start.
A lot of contact between Sapienza and the Notre Dame defense. No call, though, from our referee today, Cameron Serbio. You'd have to think this is a real testing game for the Fighting Irish. We talked about the different emotions. They ran the gamut last week. When you beat number 2 Virginia on your home turf, it can't get better than that, right? And then you go to Pitt, you face your former head coach as well, so that's kind of an interesting little turn and twist, and Randy Waldrum for Pitt. And you don't perform the way you want to in that 3-1 loss. So I would think, Morgan, that this is a game that Notre Dame has circled as saying, hey, let's get back to what we do well.
For sure. That Pitt game was a game that they wanted to win for many reasons. Obviously, after you have a big win like they did just a week ago, you want to be able to follow that up. So dropping that one to Pitt, there were a lot of lessons that came out of that one. And at the same time, Pitt is really good this year. Take nothing away from them. They can compete. And that's Randy's first win against Notre Dame at Notre Dame, too. So you have to also keep that in mind. It's not just one-sided when it comes to these teams, but this game is important for Notre Dame because they have to be able to settle back in and play their game.
Morgan, what did you take out of that match?
That Pitt's real. That Pitt is really good, truthfully.
It was more on the Pitt side than the Notre Dame side for you.
Yeah, they really impressed me, and I do think Notre Dame just wasn't fully sharp. And they know right now, Nate Norman was saying when we asked, you know, what's different? Why are you not super clinical in the attacking third? Because y'all get the chances, and you have the players that can finish. What's going on right now? And he mentioned, you know, as a forward, I was never a forward, but I do remember this conversation with a lot of teammates. It can become a mental thing, right? You can carry those misses with you. So it's all the chances that they've had, but they know they probably haven't finished as much as they want to. So that was on display against Pitt. They had opportunities, but also I think losing Ava Gattino, not having her in that second half, definitely kind of threw their defense off a bit, because they play with just 3 backs. So their center back, Ava Gattino, is a massive part of their back line, just her experience and the style of play. So there's a couple, it's a long-winded answer, right? There's a couple different ways you can go with that, but this game does become even more important.
Well, to your point with Ava Gattino, Notre Dame gave up 2 goals to Pitt in that second half when she wasn't playing. It makes a massive difference. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt about it. When she's not in there, it's a little bit of a different team, and it just goes to show you when Gattino plays, and she is usually very good when she does. You see a little bit of a shiner there on her left eye as well. Great to see her fit because she makes such an important impact.
Yeah, and you also have to credit Leah Klinke, a freshman stepping in, is doing a fantastic job on that back line. Wanaya Hudson has been so consistent for Notre Dame year over year. Nate Norman shouted her out and said she doesn't get the stats, but she is one of the steadiest players on their team. She connects high percentage passes. She is such a good defender. So this back line is so strong, but anytime you lose your center back, things change, especially when you only have 3 defenders. It's an even bigger loss.
Part of the strength of the back line, the 2 goalkeepers that Notre Dame features as well. This is the 6th match started for Mackenzie Wood. Grad transfer after being a 4-year starter at Northwestern, but it's kind of an embarrassment of riches for Nate Norman in some ways. Also putting Ashley Naylor in there, who started 16 games last year. We've seen her 5 times this season. And even if they do have to go with 2 the entire way, it seems like Nate Norman's just okay with that.
I was talking to you off air before. It's so interesting to see another team in the ACC have 2 goalkeepers that they're very confident in. Obviously, it's the top women's conference. It's not surprising to see high-level goalkeepers, but really we only see that from Carolina. Year over year, they tend to have 2, just historically. So it is interesting now that there's another team. We're like, oh, who are you going to see in goal today?
Flag went up on Wingate. That's pretty good. I'm really not sure you could go wrong if you're Notre Dame.
And I think you also have to credit Mackenzie Wood, because Ashley Naylor has been a big part of this Notre Dame program. So when you look at Wood, to be able to come in, and I wouldn't really say, obviously they're challenging for that spot, but also to complement one another, right? Like maybe what the team needs and who the opponent, what they're bringing, that it is a nice place to be in. And I'm sure as a goalkeeper, you want to be the starter. It's not the best place for you to be in, but as a whole, as a team, you know you have those players you can count on.
Throw in now for Notre Dame. What about if you're on the back line, though, Morgan? Do you want to settle in with just one voice, given the directions?
100%. It does sound, though, just from conversations, Notre Dame knows how they like to play. And it seems like they have 2 goalkeepers that can easily slide into that. Maybe they have individual skill sets that are a little bit different, but you should still be hearing the same type of voice, the same languaging, even though it might be coming from 2 people.
Van Zenton enters the box, and that one goes well wide. No touch from the Boston College defense.
This game has been really fast-paced for the first 9-ish minutes, and that's something that we didn't really know what we would see from Boston College coming out, and I think Notre Dame has the ability to match that because they play with that high pace, but I'd like to see BC settle in. They want to have a little bit of possession. I don't think they can high press the whole entire game. It's too much, and this field is fast, right? It's turf, it's a little bit smaller. So I expect to see Notre Dame try to pass it a little bit, and I also want to see BC, what is their shape defensively, because they can't continue on with that high press.
Well, they're doing it for now, though. Out to the far side, Wanaya Hudson first touch, the senior from Greece, New York, upstate. Drazina stays on side, slots it perfectly through to Wingate. What defense coming back for Michaela Agresti, one of the 3 captains. Twin sister of Samantha.
And this is a fantastic ball from the midfield before this from Albert. And it's a good final ball played in. Wingate's first touch takes her even further across goal. So that angle gets very, very tight, but well done from Agresti. She's so solid on that back line for BC.
First corner now for Notre Dame. Top of the 6. Launch towards the front of the goal. And Maddie Mercado almost got a poacher's one at the back post.
Set pieces can be such a difference maker, and it's not always the first ball, because this is that second ball that comes across. It's not a bad volley. Mercado's in the right spot, but it just comes with pace. She can't get it back across frame. But that's something defensively. If Boston College, that ball's coming in, they have to watch the second one, because Notre Dame, they're hungry around frame.
And Klinke was pretty close, too, at the top of the box to getting her head on that. Would have had a great angle, but just out of her reach. Hudson watches it out of bounds sideline. 10 minutes in, still scoreless. Jason Lowe is telling us one of the keys for Boston College was just to stay in this game, be patient, settle in. And for a team that's now 0-3 in the ACC after playing a gauntlet of a schedule in number 12 Florida State, 5th ranked Duke, and then number 3 UNC. It really doesn't get tougher than that. They're just looking for a little bit of confidence and maybe some belief in themselves once again.
Well, and he said this team, they're not worried. They're unfazed, and that doesn't mean they're not interested in winning, right? But they know what they've been going up against, and they've learned from those games.
Sapienza tracks it back down, looking for help. Dispossessed Leah Klinke. Beautiful defensive work on the tackle. Van Zenten restarts the offense right into Klinke's feet. Dealt with by Costello, but now a throw in the offensive third.
Klinke does a really nice job closing this down, and it's just the cutback from Sapienza to keep that ball in her foot.
Druzina. Notre Dame looking to use their pace advantage. Trying to get it to Wingate in the attacking third, maybe on the run where she can beat someone over the top. We haven't seen that yet. They have been playing her in with some through balls, though I would say the BC defense so far, Morgan, has been more than up to the challenge.
Well, they've stepped pretty high, so there's not a lot of space to play in behind. You see Notre Dame right now playing a lot of those balls wide, whether it's to their defenders getting forward or finding Druzina and Martinez on the wings. But they're having to find that ball wide to force BC to step, so there's a little bit of space in behind, because the Eagles have a really tight defensive line that you can't just play it in behind, or if you do, it has to be the perfect texture where it's not too hard but also not too soft where they can step in.
Agresti coming up to take the free kick. Just a sea of blue and gold there around that ball. Made a fortress right in front of the goalkeeper, Mackenzie Wood, and now a chance to build out of the back out of this 3-5-2. Mercado. Van Zenten has plenty of room. Give it right back to her. This is a beautiful build-up right here. But the flag went up on Wingate.
And that is a good build-up, right? It goes through the middle with Van Zandt. You find Mercado on the ball. But Wingate is a player. If I'm a coach, I'm letting her know you don't actually ever need to step offside because you have the pace to get in behind. So just pull your run a step wider, hold it for 1 second, because I have full faith that you can get in behind on that ball.
Wingate a hat trick versus Wisconsin earlier this year. You see her plenty on the ball, number 9 in blue and gold. This ball in behind, trying to find Wingate. Into 3 different white shirts though, and line finally cleared. Just as far as Corbin Albert though. Number 2 for Notre Dame in blue, 12 goals, second among Division I freshmen last season. Notre Dame dominating the possession so far. Van Zenten dribbles in, goes down. Official says play on. Klinke. Step over. Van Zenten once again. Now here's Matriano. I think BC just happy to get out of that frantic spot. "15 minutes gone, both teams looking for the breakthrough. Boston College has not found much success against the Fighting Irish in their history, just 1-14 against Notre Dame, with the only win coming back in 2003. First meeting in 1995 between these two now ACC programs. For a while, they were both Big East as well. Ella Richards. Andy Barth. And tripped up in the defensive end as Samantha Agresti goes down.
Agresti does a good job turning, looking to face up, and it's just Albert coming in. She's not able to slow her run. But you see BC starting to get a little bit more confident on the ball, right? They're making that space a little bit bigger, looking to find feet. They have to try to pull Notre Dame to those wide spaces, pull them out of position, but they have to beat the first line, because when they pick their head up, there's going to be so many blue jerseys around, because that's what Notre Dame's looking to do, is pick that ball off quickly. So if BC can beat the first line, there's a little bit more time and space on the ball.
More high pressure coming for BC. They're just right in the hip pocket. Even with the ball so far away, even in their own defensive half of the field. Van Zenton restarts the offense, looking for Wingate. Little too heavy. And the line cleared. Sunday best this week, we'll have a women's soccer volleyball triple header. Syracuse squaring off against Wake Forest starts the afternoon at noon Eastern. At 2, it's Miami and NC State in volleyball, and the same Virginia Duke coming up at 4 Eastern right here on ACC Network and on the ESPN app. Here's Richards. Got Albert to bite. Fit. Put it off to Agresti. And now back in the feet of Klinke for Notre Dame. We have already seen her use her terrific pace. Played up to Wingate. Has her back on the overlap, but dispossessed by Agresti. Wingate. Albert stays with it, turns. Low cross in, and just wide, but the flag went up. Maddie Mercado just couldn't stay onside.
This is an example of that interchange from Notre Dame. You see the way they move that ball around. Olivia Wingate just a step beyond. But something to note, really before that whole sequence started building, it was Sarai Costello who had a really good 1v1 win. She was able to knock that ball off the foot of a Notre Dame player. Granted, wasn't able to clear it, so the Irish still had possession, but those are those battles that they're looking to win. So well done from Costello.
Looking for some good combination play for BC in the offensive third. Have not been able to get anything going in that realm yet.
Well, it wasn't a bad idea, but there's so many players in the middle of the field. BC has to find that ball wide, and maybe it's even negative playing it behind before going wide. But if they just try to win it in the middle of the field and keep it towards the center, they're not going to be able to build. There's too many numbers.
It has been so congested. That one's over the top and too far in front of Wingate. Morgan, what about the elephant in the room? I mean, it's very clearly not natural grass. Playing on turf, it's a quick surface. How does each team have to deal with that? Notre Dame's obviously not used to this type of thing.
Well, it obviously plays in BC's favor a bit just because they're used to playing on that, but it actually doesn't serve them too well today because Notre Dame plays with such a fast pace anyway. So it's different for the Irish having to just adjust to it being a little bit quicker, but BC, everything's just a step faster when it already is because of their opponent. So it works out for their familiarity with it, but not when it comes to the work they have to do defensively.
What about prepping for it?
Honestly, I don't think there's much you can do except for just get that ball off your foot faster. So in training, it's how can you move it quicker? How can you be faster? And also on the defensive side, right? If you're closing space, just talking about how you can get to that space a little bit sooner. But I don't really think there's too much besides just the pace.
Mercado flips it up looking for Albert. And Vibke Willebrand off of her line for BC, the sophomore keeper from Germany. And needed to be.
And look at this little ball. It's just the chip from Mercado. She's very cheeky. She has the ability to play that. It's a little bit too far for Albert, but you see more of that interchange. I keep talking about it, but it's because you really have about 4 players in the center of the field. Yes, you have 2 forwards and 2 attacking mids, but they are always switching spaces, which makes it difficult to stay with defensively.
And Willebrand has been more confident coming out on crosses and making those plays off her line. And sometimes, you know, you see throughout a soccer match, one play, one save, making all the difference. If you can come up with a game-changing stop, it can give confidence to your back line, it can change the scorebook, and it can be the difference between a win and a loss. Great matchup following us on ACC Network as well. NC State and Clemson. Can't wait for that on ACC Thursday prime time. Slotted through, and a beautiful diving save from Mackenzie Wood. And she knew that one was kind of on her, but she made up for it.
Yeah, she had to make up for it. She knew she gave that ball away, but it's Sapienza. I love this step, but also the way she gets that ball off her foot. It's the quick shot because she knows there's a lot of chaos there, right? Wood doesn't have a clear look at that ball coming in. That's a good opportunity for the Eagles.
Sapienza right in the middle of that as well, won by Van Zenten. Wingate, she can pull from out there, instead chipped into Mercado, slices it home and through. Wingate did the easy work, and Mercado finishes her 14th career goal.
And it's Van Zanten. She wins that ball in the midfield. Look how Wingate faces up. She takes her first touch, dribbles directly at that back line, and then has full aim to split that back line. Mercado able to just run in behind. It's a really well done goal. Mercado, all she had to do was run forward because that ball was put right on her foot from Olivia Wingate, facing up and slipping that one through.
22nd minute goal, and there is the breakthrough. Mercado's 7th of the season, and one that Notre Dame really did need to see go in the back of the net. We mentioned just 2 goals in their last 3 matches combined. And you'd imagine that has the Fighting Irish on the road feeling a little bit better here, a little bit more than midway through this first half.
Well, and Alex, talking about a team who maybe is having trouble getting past the mental block of scoring, right? That goal is the complete opposite of a mental block. You saw Wingate knew she had to face up. She's on the ball, going straight at that back line. She's confident. Mercado knows where that ball is coming. That whole thing was very effortless. So that's what you want to see from a team who's starting to click. It's a good goal for them, not just to get on the board, but also for what it stands for.
Sometimes some of the combination play that we see from Notre Dame is just poetic. Absolutely beautiful, and as you said, effortless. Fun to watch. High level of soccer for the Fighting Irish.
Well, and it also makes it look so simple, but these are sequences that's practiced in training, right? But it's the way that they execute. Yes, the center back got a touch on it from BC. It wasn't enough, though, and it's because of that dribble, the penetrative dribble from Wingate going straight at that back line. Somebody has to step to her, or else she'll keep the ball on her foot. So it was really well done. Right when that defender started to step is when she knew she could release Mercado.
That releases Wingate. Willebrand dives on top of it.
I do think BC has done a good job adjusting to that slip ball, though, because, yes, that's another opportunity, but that ball is so direct and it's so forward and it's moving with pace. For Notre Dame to have more opportunities, it either has to be a little bit softer or it's got to go wide. That ball has to come from a different area, but if it's coming right from the middle, going straight forward, Villebrand's able to step forward like she just did.
Mercado, the goal scorer for Notre Dame, too, was really the definition of a super sub last year. But now she is factored into the starting 11. She added to her career high tally, now up to 7 goals this season. And we just see kind of this machine that is being built in South Bend by Nate Norman. Comes off of the bench into the starting 11 and has even more success because she's ready for that type of moment.
And what I think is really special about this Notre Dame team right now is these players are all so different. When you look at Mercado and Wingate up top, they bring very different characteristics to that front line. But you also just saw Mercado drop into the center and play a fantastic ball out wide with the perfect pace. So they have so many different strengths. And then you also look at Kiki Van Zanten. She's your forward last year. Oh no, now she's going to be your attacking mid and is going to do all the work defensively that you don't always notice. So these players are able to adapt to what's needed for their program, and they have so many different skill sets that as a whole, it's hard to just stop one, because then your next person's going to step up.
Refresh you on the subs. Ellie Osbeck coming in for the first time. Both of these for Notre Dame. Matriano takes a seat. Druzina to the bench, and Erin Honstein coming in now for the Fighting Irish. Riley Kerber checking in for Boston College, and Sapienza will take a breather. Took till more than midway through the first half to see our first subs of the game. Here's Laura Govan. No handball. Mercado plays it up. Wingate. Touched away. Boston College to an open area now. Wingate with a double team. Pass back out wide. Honstein with the touch. Back it goes. Ree Martinez. BC just happy enough to clear the line. This is positive for BC. Beautiful ball up ahead. Andy Barth, no angle, and she flicks it just over the bar. Good spell by BC.
And it really started with this defense on the backside. So it's Ava Omani just completely shutting down Martinez trying to get forward. And then it really goes into the attacking chance. Getting forward is Barth. This ball, I would love to see it cut across the 6, but she doesn't really have anyone to play with. Richards is getting forward, but isn't exactly there. So I think at that point, Barth really only had that option to shoot. It's just a hard angle.
Better, though, from the Eagles. We're just dying for a goal at this point. They came into the match without scoring one in 298 straight minutes. Obviously, that ominous streak has continued. But in those 3 losses in ACC play, FSU, Duke, and UNC outscored 12-0 in those games. Though it's going to get easier from here on out. Let's make that very clear. They started the toughest way you possibly could, but you can only play your schedule, Morgan, and what does the record read? It reads 0-3 in the conference, and you're trying to dig yourself out of this massive hole.
Well, you see 0-3, but Jason Lowe had a great call out. He said, we don't have a bad loss. And he's not wrong at all. If any team loses to one of those ACC teams, that's honestly not a bad loss at all. So no. It's unfortunate, right, how it started, having to play all 3 of those teams, and now Notre Dame too, who is also highly ranked. But when you look at the season as a whole, there's so much left to play, and Boston College knows that. They're happy with how they've performed. They know they've gotten better game over game, and they're taking it one game at a time. So they know there's so much more. They're looking at each one that's next, and truthfully, they don't have a bad loss on their record.
Their only loss in the non-conference was to Michigan. Not a bad one by any means. 4-4-3 the record this year. 3 draws to UMass, Providence, and to Army. Coming up, though, it is decidedly easier for Jason Lowe. Another home game with Syracuse, then travel to Louisville. That was their lone conference win last year. Pitt's not easy, though. The way that team is playing under Randy Waldrum this year, that's one you circle as one of the toughest that is left. Neither is Clemson, of course. ACC is just such a juggernaut this year. I would not want to be a coach in this conference. 9 of the top 30 teams in the RPI are from the ACC. That's, I mean, I'm no math whiz, but that's almost a third. That's ridiculous.
Well, and it's year over year, the ACC is the top conference, and what continues to make them better is programs that are elevating as well. Boston College is rebuilding. That's something that Jason Lowe told us, and they have opportunity, right? But they know they're getting better year over year. And then you look at Pitt and what they're doing right now. They are continuing to build. So that's what makes the ACC so dangerous, is the historically very good programs and the ones who continue to rise year over year.
Corbin Albert to take the in-swinger. Good one to the far post, punched away by Villebrand. A whistle, too. Plenty of contact there as she went out to poke it.
Gattino went up for this hard, but well done from Villebrandt. Owning the box there. Able to get the call as well, so BC's able to maintain possession.
And Gattino showing no fear because she suffered a head injury in that loss to Pitt, the reason that she was out in the second half. And went right back there into the cement mixer against the keeper, Vibke Villebrandt, standing in at 6 feet. Ball over the top, dealt with by Notre Dame. Can they just restart the offense here with Osbeck? I mean, look at the speed for everybody on this roster. One away by Wingate, dangerous position, has some help from Osbeck behind her, instead looks to the byline, gets it there, and it's a goal kick. Wingate thought different.
It's the quick transition from Notre Dame. They're able to win this ball. Klinke's done a really good job tracking back on that left side. Osbeck, fantastic on the side, able to move quickly. When this ball comes through the middle, that's where Notre Dame gets their opportunities. That one has to be cut off by the Eagles. They have to be tighter defensively in the midfield, because when that ball comes in and that Notre Dame attacker turns, there's so much opportunity, especially that slip ball behind.
Just saw number 11, Sophia Fisher, checking in for the first time, the sophomore from Scottsdale. Also, Katie Coyle getting her first look for Notre Dame tonight. They have a very deep roster. Thought for a moment that even might have been a handball on Costello. Whistle stays down, though, for the referee, Cameron Serbio. Difference in this match, the 22nd minute goal by Maddie Mercado, 7th of the season. Perfectly assisted by Wingate. It was a beautiful spell of possession for Notre Dame leading up to it. Albert, right into the feet of Lowenberg. Van Zenten's turn is so quick. I mean, the way that she jump starts that offense from the midfield is pretty impressive.
Nate Norman had so much praise to say about Kiki Van Zanten. It was really cool listening to him just talk about what they've asked of her and how she's completely just risen to the challenge and what they've needed from her in that midfield area.
Wingate centers it down. Sophia Fisher deflects it out of bounds. Goal kick coming.
And Alex, when it comes to Van Zanten, we talked about she was a forward last year. Now she's in the midfield, and he asked her, can you be our ball winner? Can you be the connector? Can you cover ground defensively? And she's fully embraced the role, and he just said when she's healthy, what she does from a defensive standpoint is phenomenal. And I think that's a huge shout out to the player that she is, knowing that previously she was playing forward. And they still do ask a lot of their forwards to do work defensively, but it's obviously a much different role than she's playing this year. And just the presence right here, a ball winner off that one coming in with the header.
Andy Barth Skirts past Katie Coyle. Govan. Stays with BC. Barth once again surrounded by blue. And forced to play it back to Govan once again. And over everybody's head for a goal kick. Our Week 5 college football lineup for Saturday on ACC Network and the ESPN app starts with the Eagles hosting Louisville, noon Eastern. Virginia Tech is in Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina. And then Wagner against undefeated Syracuse on ACC Network Extra at 5. Day capped off by our ACC Network primetime matchup. That's number 24 Pitt hosting Georgia Tech at 8. Another good lineup of action. Coming up next, our Thursday night primetime on ACC Network, women's soccer matchup between NC State and Clemson. You do not want to miss Jamise Joseph out there on the field. You talk about being able to fly around. That is the definition of Jamise Joseph for the Wolfpack. Coming up at 8 o'clock, Jen Hildreth, Lori Lindsay will follow. Centered back, flipped over the goal by Costello for a corner kick coming.
I've been really impressed with BC and just the defensive presence that they have had, because they've had to defend a fair amount in this game. Just a couple of moments ago, they had a really good build-up on the attacking side, but now they're stuck defending again, and just the way that they've switched on and committed to doing that work together has been really impressive, because it's not easy with all the numbers that they're facing right now.
Albert chips it to the top of the box. Gattino almost put it home, cleared off the line for Boston College. Was it Omani who got to it? The savior.
Omani completely saved this goal. She's in the right spot. That's why you have somebody on the post. But it's the fact that she saw it, she reacted to it. That ball did not go over. Gattino, though, fantastic connection on it. But well done from Omani.
This time the corner played in low. Gattino heads it wide. Omani, the sophomore from Cork, Ireland, playing for the Irish senior national team. Check out the front row on the right side. You ACC soccer fans know who that is. Heather Payne for Florida State. Ava and Heather have a very important match coming up in October as well. The World Cup qualifying playoff to see who is going to be able to even make it to the World Cup final. Can you imagine the pressure playing in that match, Morgan? Just a little something on the line.
No, I actually cannot. I don't think I could even try to put myself in those shoes.
Yeah, we can't wait for that Oceania Women's World Cup coming up, hosted by Australia and New Zealand. Next summer, it's not too far away. Men in Qatar in November and the women the following summer. A lot of names you're going to see on that U.S. women's national team, one in particular for Boston College fans. They will definitely recognize Christy Mewis. Look at the space for Wingate, but it's 1v4. Can she break down the entire back line? She cannot, but it's deflected. Wingate taps it back out. Katie Coyle. And cleared by Costello, but just as far as Klinke. Klinke looking for the cross. Sends a low one in. Pinballs around, line not totally clear yet. Hudson. With 6:50 to go before halftime. Klinke. Look at the numbers behind the ball now for BC. Already conceded in the 22nd minute. 7th goal of the year to Mercado for Notre Dame, that is. flipped ahead. Can Wingate get there? If anybody can, she can. And just barely over the line for a goal kick. But that was pretty fun trying to watch her run it down.
Well, she was close, but look at this last opportunity. She faces up. She's so quick. See how she pulls the center backs for BC. They are so tight to one another. Well done on the backside from Govan, though, to cover as well. But you see how she's forcing those center backs to play so tight. It opens up space in behind them if Notre Dame can find it. But you have to give credit to Govan, the way she slid in.
Bit of a homecoming, too, for Olivia Wingate from a half hour north in Wilmington, Massachusetts. The high school girls team there tonight to support her. The only Massachusetts native on the Notre Dame roster. And it's a pretty good one. Well, Morgan, I wonder how long BC can keep up this high press, because they have been conceded once, but we have seen Jason Lowe just continue to get higher and higher up the pitch.
And I think they've also brought in some players that have allowed them to stay a bit fresh, right? And he's letting them know on the sideline before they come in what their game plan is. But yeah, I have been impressed because it's not exactly as high and as quick as we saw in the first few minutes. It's slowed down a little bit, but overall, this game is still pretty fast-paced. But I also do think BC is having to do that to adjust to what they're seeing from Notre Dame, because that Notre Dame, the way that they play, their style, that is so fast, that has definitely not slowed down.
This match very much, though, still in the balance. Notre Dame actually out shooting BC 6-2, but in terms of shots on goal, it's only 2-1. But then again, if Omani doesn't take that ball off the line, it's 2-0, and we're probably discussing a very different storyline at this point. Lowenberg. Pushed back out wide. There's Omani out of the left back spot. Far side Smith, who has not made the impact she's been looking for on this match just yet. Lefty cross over the bar. It was watched all the way by Mackenzie Wood. If you're just joining us, here's why it's 1-0. Maddie Mercado putting Notre Dame on the board. Very easily could have been 2-0 here, though. I mean, this was as close as it comes, right off the line, saved by Omani, who has been one of the standouts for sure for the home team. Alex Perlman, Morgan Bowen with you in Newton, Massachusetts on an absolutely beautiful fall evening for soccer in New England. 3 minutes left before the break. Halftime will go a little bit more into depth on the pink card game as well for breast cancer awareness. Tell you a story about one of the BC players that has been directly affected, as so many of us have been around the country and around the world. Talking to both head coaches as well. Nate Norman and Jason Lowe get their thoughts on the first 45 minutes. Here's Wingate again. Shot was deflected. I think that was Samantha Agresti who sent it away, but that all made possible on the run by Ellie Osbeck. Kiki Van Zanten will get a quick breather. First action for Allie Akers. Switch the field to Smith. Long effort, deflected by Hudson, gets it right back. Push back to the middle. Riley Kerber turning. And Albert clears away. Notre Dame trying to survive that attack from Boston College, who continues to ask more and more questions towards the end of this second half. Try to get some positive mindset going here as we get into the break. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. The ACC Huddle crew gets you set for another full day of football. Also have halftime shows and pre- and post-game shows throughout the day. At 6:30, get a complete wrap-up of the afternoon games, and they'll set you up for the primetime matchup. Georgia Tech, 24th ranked Pitt on ACC Network at 8. All right here on ACC Network and on the ESPN app. Seconds ticking away on half number one. Notre Dame with the 22nd minute breakthrough. All the scoring that we have seen so far, as Boston College is very much still in this, trying to avoid an 0-4 start to ACC play against 4 top 16 teams. Villebrand gets it away. 10 seconds left. Push in the back of Agresti, and that should take us to halftime, and there is the whistle. Morgan, Notre Dame doing what it wants to, but Boston College by no means out of this yet.
Yeah, they've had opportunities, and it's been difficult, but Notre Dame taking their chances.
Joined by Boston College head coach Jason Lowe. Well, Jason, you wanted to see your team work into this game, not concede early, conceded in the 22nd minute, but it seems like offensively you're finding your rhythm. What'd you make of the first 45?
I was pretty happy with the way we played. Like you said, just one ball got through that we didn't deal with very well, but I think our rhythm's been pretty good. I think organizationally we've been pretty good. Just need to have more possession down their end, to give our offense a little bit more of a chance.
You had a really good build-up on the attacking side at one point, but on the defensive
Back in Newton, we're joined by Notre Dame head coach Nate Norman with a 1-0 lead at the break. Coach, how do you think you guys executed your game plan in those 45 minutes against BC?
Yeah, I thought overall, the first 15, 20 minutes, I thought BC came out and, I thought they did a really good job of kind of taking us out of some of our rhythm. They brought a lot of energy defensively, really organized. I was happy that we kind of be able to stick with it and find our own rhythm there, and I think as the half wore on, I was happy with the rhythm we found, and we were able to get the ball really moving there and be able to create some opportunities.
And those opportunities that you created, you seem to be creating them with ease, coming out of the midfield, getting your front runners in behind. What were your thoughts just on the attacking side?
Yeah, a lot of it is, if we can kind of get past their midfield, get in that space in front of their back line and really kind of maybe just take a touch and drive at them, we feel like their back four really drops and collapses, and, just the ball wide. And if we can kind of slide those balls right, across like the 6-7 yard box, we can get right in front and hopefully pass that ball in the back of the net.
Coach, thank you. Much appreciated.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So 45 minutes down, and Notre Dame and Nate Norman have a 1-0 lead over Boston College. How did we get there? Morgan, breakdown Maddie Mercado's 7th goal.
And been sharp on the creative side when it comes to the final third.
Cross was blocked away from Mercado. Van Zanten, who has been the absolute energy and the engine for Notre Dame in the midfield, just gets everything going, picks out perfect passes. She's been doing all match long and jumpstarts this attack. Out of bounds off of Drazina, and that's going to be a goal kick. All right, for Boston College and Jason Lowe, how'd they do in the first half?
Well, let's talk about the first half, but also just now Laura Govan doing that first key right there, strong individual defending on the outside, forcing that ball out. And that was something that they built into their individual defending, especially with their center backs. They were dropping, but they got into a rhythm where they knew when they had to step together as a unit. So it was individual, but it also was in smaller groups. And then for them, they had to compete. They came out in the first 20, were really good and strong how they wanted to play. I also think they've competed the whole first half. They were difficult to play against. Yes, Notre Dame has had more of the possession, more opportunities, but Boston College has made it difficult.
Mercado looks at it right into the hands of Villebrand. Look at this individual 1v1 defending.
And Laura Govan, she has to get wide against Druzina, and she does enough to where Druzina truthfully dribbles out of bounds, right? So that's the defensive. It's more of the shape. Maybe it's not individual in a tackle, but it's the way that she adjusts to the ball and has her shape, so Druzina ends up coughing it up a possession.
Klinke, who we've called her name a lot in this match, also very impressive. The left center back in that 3-back in a 3-5-2. Notre Dame also terrific when they score first, unbeaten this year, which is of course what they've done. And entering that second half, the scoreless streak continues, and we're going to see our first yellow card of the match. Lainey Matriano going in way too hard there.
Matriano does a good job originally. She actually touches that ball away, but there's no shot that she's getting to that second one when she pulls down her player.
Free kick BC. Here's Omani. Ball in the box right into the hands of Mackenzie Wood. Making her 6th start of the game. We've also seen Ashley Naylor just about half of the matches as well. That run by number 9 Wingate shut down. Now here's Albert. Cut back, find some room. Thought about pulling, instead back it goes. Matriano. Switch the field as Klinke arrives. Back out wide. Druzina blocked away. And settled down by Govan. Boston College still trying to find some fluidity, that is, in the attacking third against Notre Dame. We've seen bits and spurts, but just nothing consistent yet.
Well, Alex, they also made some tactical changes, more so with personnel. So they have Sam Smith now out wide, Richards up top. They brought in Sagala to start that second half, as well as Kerber, more in the attacking mid area.
There's Smith. Almost. Kerber could have freed herself. Had an opportunity on goal there.
And Smith pulls 4 defenders, does a really nice job of bringing those players in and getting that ball off to Kerber. Notre Dame, though, a nice job tracking back defensively to get in the way there, but that's a good opportunity for BC. Nothing comes from it, really, but you can see the build-up happening.
Smith restarting the offense. Ella Richards falling away. And Van Zanten, cool, calm, and collected. Now Albert. A lot more possession, though, in the attacking third for BC that last trip down the field.
Well, and they're finding the ball in dangerous areas. That last one, they picked the ball off in a dangerous position, but that final pass is going to a player, and their only option is to shoot. There's no one else around.
That was a good one to Kerber, though, but nobody home on the lapping run towards the near post. It's Richards trying to get there.
And it's a great look of the run coming all the way across from Kerber. That is on because you have the 3 backs of Notre Dame. So she gets in behind Hudson. It's a little stutter to also get around Gattino. Unfortunately, no one on the near post.
I like Sam Smith out wide. I think it's really opened things up, don't you?
Well, it's also forced Ella Richards to play a little bit of a different role. So she's kind of chasing in that first line of defense, and it allows Smith to support. So she's picked the ball up a few times in dangerous areas. So I like it for her attacking, and I really like it for when she can win it and where she can win it defensively.
It also expands the width of BC. Morgan, does it unclog the middle much as well?
Well, granted, you have Richards dropping back into the middle right now, but early in the first half, we saw a lot of players trying to win that ball in the middle. So yes, it just expands it a little bit. I'd love to see Smith get wider or have another wide opportunity, but it definitely does unclog the middle just a little bit.
And a foul called on Boston College. This is the goal scorer, Mercado, who's down.
And that's a hard tackle.
That's late.
It's Govan just come in. It's late, and she also has to cover all that ground to get forward, so she's not there at the right time.
Gets away without the caution, though. There's been a bit of a wake-up call this start for Notre Dame, only nursing that 1-0 lead. Handball, Smith. Notre Dame looking to restart quickly, and that's exactly what they do.
You can hear the energy right now from BC. They have that same energy they started the first half with. They're putting Notre Dame under pressure, and you can hear the bench telling them, get in front of the ball, and they're cheering, and that's contagious right now for the Eagles, and it's working in their favor.
Flip it into the box. Van Zanten. Line cleared for Boston College. Van Zanten again. Drazina! Mercado in there, but the flag went up in her bid for a brace. Holding her face as she gets up.
And it's the ball over the top. We really haven't seen Notre Dame look for that big one. But once again, tracking back, you have Omani does a really nice job of blocking that because Mercado just backs up into it and is able to make connection. But Omani, fantastic job just tracking defensively.
And she's really been the firefighter in this one. Took one off of the back line. Just shoved down to the ground that time by Martinez. Play on, says the referee. Martinez wide.
Something that BC's worked on defensively is not allowing the ball to cut back. And this is a fantastic win for Martinez running through, but you have to see the defensive work from Michaela Agressi. She doesn't allow Martinez to cut back on her. So at that point, there's no good angle. That's a really tough ball. Yes, you're close to the goal, but it's hard to get that one on frame.
Martinez, who was just selected to the under-23 U.S. national team this year. Wide on her first attempt. And here's Notre Dame one more time. Van Zanten looking to create. Up in front, Mercado. Instead, it's Wingate! Tapped away by Villebrandt. Oh, surely that was going to be 2-0.
Well, this is that interchange in full effect because it's Van Zanten, the ball forward. Look at Wingate continue her run on. And it's Mercado with the good touch back. But those are the opportunities for Notre Dame that they have to finish. Those are those ones that they want to be more composed and put that away. Because Villebrandt was good, right, with that save. It also was right to her hands.
Just like what Nate Norman was saying, want to be more clinical and efficient in the final third. When you're in the box, can you slot the ball home instead of giving your goalie, the other goalie that is, a chance to make a big play? I mean, that's... Quite frankly, look, Villebrandt made the save, right? But that's not a difficult one to make.
That's when she's expected to make. And you can even see the way that Wingate hits it. Her body, she moves so quickly. She's moving away from frame that she's not hitting the ball cleanly. And they want to be more efficient. They want to be more clinical. They are in the build-up. It's that final piece when it comes to the finishing aspect. So it's not their whole attack. It's just the most important part, right, when it comes to finishing the ball.
Yes, it is. Boston College chasing thanks to the 22nd minute goal by Maddie Mercado. Open it up in the defensive third. Flip back by Omani. Villabrandt deals with it. Smith. Omani. Right into the awaiting foot of Matriano. As she switches field. Intercept comes, Segala, who did start this second half for BC. Sunday best this week, a women's soccer volleyball triple header. First at Syracuse, squaring off against Wake Forest on the pitch at noon Eastern. And then a couple of volleyball matches, Miami, NC State, Virginia, Duke to follow at 4 Eastern time. All three right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Following us Thursday night primetime, NC State and Clemson. Morgan, you talked about it at halftime with Mora. Clemson looking to, just like Notre Dame, bounce back from a rough couple of games. And this could be a great start for them for NC State, but the Wolfpack are really dangerous too, aren't they?
They have built a really strong program at NC State. So yes, Clemson is looking to bounce back. They would like to, but it's not going to be an easy game because you just look at what the Wolfpack are doing right now. They have an experienced back line. Jamise Joseph is fantastic with the ball at her foot. Yes, she has pace, but she's a great finisher, and what she creates on the dribble is outstanding. So Clemson's going to have a tough challenge, but yeah, they've had time to regroup and they want to bounce back. But something we had talked about was making sure you're not peaking too early. So it could be, you don't want losses, right? But it could be a couple good losses for Clemson, and then to see how they rebound. And I think they'll probably look different tonight than they have in the last few games.
So Thursday night primetime, NC State Clemson coming up after us with Jen Hildreth and Lori Lindsay. Looking forward to that one. There's Segala, averaging about 30 minutes per game this year. Just a freshman out of Salisbury, Connecticut. Little more than a half hour left here in Newton, Massachusetts. Notre Dame still holding on to this lead, though BC has continued to threaten. Notre Dame actually a few minutes ago almost scoring against the run of play. Omani chests it down. Smith. Dealt with for Notre Dame by Matriano. Albert. Plays catch with Hudson. Dribbles back towards the center, opening up some space now. Here's Van Zanten. Van Zanten. And play back one more time. Now long ball comes. Well done. Strong touch, though, by Martinez. Centered back across, flipped on, out of bounds. Corner to Notre Dame, something they do extremely well. It is really a bread and butter, that is, of their team this season.
Well, Nate Norman said if we can get our rhythm and get the ball wide, we want to knock that one basically across the sticks because they know they'll have opportunities. That's exactly what happened in this play. Great ball wide. It was a fantastic first touch on that right side from Brie Martinez to set up the ball across to Druzino.
8th corner for Notre Dame. That's what they average per game this year. Still some issues. Trying to change it. Sent away for a moment, and now into the arms of Villabrandt. That was absolute pinball inside the 6.
Well, credit to Villebrandt because she makes the initial save. There's a lot of traffic in here from both sides. She steps to close. It's another save. You see her low, and then she's able to get back up and slide over to hold on to that ball. That's really well done from Villebrandt.
That's some overall team defending for Boston College. Well, Morgan, you mentioned the individual 1v1 defending has to be pretty good for BC if they're going to stick in this game. You also have to come up big in those types of moments too, don't you?
100%. And that's also still, I would consider it 1v1, right? Maybe it's not on the ball, but 1v1 in your space because you have a man, you have a mark in that box, and you have to know where they are.
Mercado opens it up. Wingate gets behind the defense and slots it through. Add a goal to her tally. She assisted on Mercado's opener. 2-0 Notre Dame, and the Wilmington High School girls soccer team absolutely loves it.
And it's a build-up in the middle again. Look at this touch from Mercado that gets that ball on her foot. She pulls the defender because Wingate's able to easily slip in behind, but she does a really nice job keeping that ball close to her foot. I love that she goes to the near post too. Villebrandt's trying to back up, but she slips that ball. She sees where Villebrandt is not and is able to go to the near post.
Matches Maddie Mercado, 7 goals on the season for both of them. And now Notre Dame really in trouble here in the 63rd minute. Or rather, that is Boston College. Notre Dame not even close to trouble. They are looking good to bounce back from that loss to Pitt and move to 2-2 in ACC play, though still plenty of time left for the Eagles to get back on the board. So Wingate, 7 goals on the year, which ties her career high in a season that she set last year. Just continues to get better and better. Good turn, Van Zanten! And what an individual effort to make it 3! How much better does it get than that?
Kiki Van Zanten, this is a beautiful goal. It's the good work on this side, but look at this ball touched back. Albert is special and gets it to Van Zanten, but it's the turn. She beats her players right in the middle, and it's the quick shot, gets that ball off her foot. That is beautiful from Kiki Van Zanten. That's a great finish, well done.
2 goals conceded for Boston College in the last minute. Wingate makes it 2, Van Zanten opens it up, now trailing by 3, and she'll get a well-deserved breather. And there are attacking players all over the pitch for Notre Dame. I mean, you could really just pick into a hat in the top 6 and say, okay, who's going to have the best night tonight? It could be Wingate, it could be Van Zanten, it could be Mercado. It is incredible the job that Van Zanten has done tonight. She has impressed me the most on the defensive end, the offensive end, individually, the skill. She opens it up for everybody else. I mean, this is a real show tonight. BC looking to counter. And flicked on, corner coming. Good work by Sigala on the run.
It's really good work from Sigala on the run because she creates that. She sees her defender and takes her on and is able to create for the Eagles. One thing they have to be aware of is how they're giving up goals in short spells. And this is a good run from Sigala because she's able to establish their possession on the other side.
Govan sends it in. Headed away. Still trouble towards the middle of the box. Sent free. Yeah, one thing that the Eagles could work on is their reset after giving up a goal. Completely right, because it's not easy, of course, to beat North Carolina. Losing 3-0 to them it's not going to look bad on a resume by any means, but all 3 goals were conceded in a 5-minute span from the 44th minute to the 49th minute.
And it's a good ball sent in. A really nice clearance from Matriano on the corner, but BC still had an opportunity. But Alex, going back to what you said, yeah, that's an issue because it's so hard when it's frustrating too, right? Especially in that game, the UNC game, to play a North Carolina team for 85 minutes, 0-0, and then 5 minutes, give up those 3 goals. That's where you're seeing, okay, what's happening? Why are we not holding on to possession? Where are we maybe not playing our best in these minutes? What's the breakdown? And I think they're also going to have opportunity just in those 2 goals from Notre Dame. What happened? And I do think, take nothing away, it was special. That goal from Kiki Van Zandt was special. Yes. The way that she beats those players in the middle. But where was the lapse? Did they need to be tighter defensively? I don't think anyone fully stepped to Van Zandt. She had players around her, but nobody committed to go in, or nobody committed to fully closing the space. There was a little bit open, and she took it. So what are we seeing in these few minutes? Where's the lapse? Because in the ACC, unfortunately, you cannot afford to have those lapses. After a goal, that's the most important time of the game because it can completely shift the rest of the game if you give up another one like we just saw.
Well, Morgan, when you were at Virginia Tech, does the coaching staff address that? They say, okay, we were conceded on, but that doesn't end the ball game. We need to lock down once again mentally in order to stay in this.
100%. I mean, goals happen for and against. It's part of the game. You're not going to be able to shut out every single opponent. It's just probably not very possible. I'm sure some teams can go pretty far in the season without it, but overall, you're going to get scored against. So it has to be a reset. And you do talk about what is your focus when we go down. You can't let it affect you as a team and individually, because that's usually when those breakdowns happen. You have to be more heightened. You have to be more locked in to just play smart. You don't have to go back and score right away, but you just have to play smart to make sure you don't have any breakdowns right after.
Unfortunately for Boston College, that is exactly what happened. Rundrazina stayed in, no handball. Back into the box once again, headed wide. Another great opportunity for Notre Dame to put a goal on the board. But I think the Fighting Irish coaching staff more upset about not getting a handball call there on Omani.
Well, and this ball in from Martinez was a good one, but I want to know what the communication was like there. Because, yes, Wingate is an option, but she's trying to head that ball back across frame, and she's in the middle. She had 2 players behind her, too. Was there any communication of them wanting that one? Because I think if they're running in, they might have a little bit of a better chance.
Agresti. Sigala, who's been making an impact on the wide side. Gets to it, crosses it, top of the 18. For a moment, it was behind Sonia Walk. Omani back to Walk. BC chasing 3. 22nd minute for Mercado. And then 2 given up within the span of 1 single minute in the 63rd. Mercado. Smith went down. Referee says play on. And the scoreless streak just continues for BC as well. It'll be interesting to see coming up because the schedule does get easier. Play Syracuse, then go to Louisville, home against Pitt. That's not a simple win by any means. Will they be able to find that offense once again? Because, I mean, for Boston College, the scoreless streak was 343 minutes entering the second half. And, of course, now that's almost 25 minutes more. The last time that the Eagles found the back of the net was Ella Richards' 62nd minute goal against Army. That was back on September 11th. We're talking almost 3 weeks now.
Well, it's hard when you talk about the attacking front because most of BC's time right now has been spent defending. They have had some build-ups, but it's more so been in the transition or here and there. And to be able to capitalize on those few opportunities, you have to be fully locked in, which is not always the easiest when you've been stuck defending most of the game. So it's kind of a twofold, and yes, I do expect them to have a lot more opportunities on the attacking side in the upcoming games. But I also think BC's a team, they're getting corners. They've had set pieces. They're a team that can also look to capitalize on that a little bit more, especially when they're in the games when they're stuck defending.
How do you turn this very tough stretch into a positive? Is there any way for Jason Lowe to do that?
Well, they've done it. He said his team, they're not worried, and he said it's not that we don't want to win. We do, but we've seen the growth that we have game to game, and we know which games are home, which games are away, which ones we might have a little bit, not of a better opportunity, but which ones we're set up a little bit better for when it comes to the home games, who that opponent is, who they've played before, if they've had a little bit more rest. Look at this game, they did have time before to train. Granted, the game being on a Thursday, they have a little bit more after, but he's like, we would have loved a Sunday game because then you have a whole entire basically week to train, which that never happens in season. So there's a lot that they're up against, but like we said earlier in the game, they don't have any bad losses. Maybe you could argue Michigan, but I wouldn't really consider that a terrible loss. There's some other teams right now that might be higher ranked that there's losses that are big blemishes on their record. So I think that's a good place to build for BC. And you see the opportunities that they build. They're a good team. They're going to win games. It was just a really unfortunate stretch that they started with when it comes to ACC play.
Well, can the end of this match be part of the building process? Get something positive to take into their match against Syracuse next week.
And during our conversation with Jason Lowe, I was reflecting back on a conversation we had in 2020, right after COVID. And they didn't really have much of an off-season, much of a preseason. And he told his team, hey, returners, welcome back to the ACC, and freshmen, welcome to it. And I asked if that would be pretty comparable to how he's feeling this season, just with the start that they've had. And it's definitely been learning on the fly for this team and these freshmen. You can't explain what ACC play is, so it also might be a bit of a benefit that they were just thrown into it and they had to adapt.
Well, the BC freshmen have certainly learned what the ACC is all about with this starting stretch. Florida State is obviously not an easy way at all to begin things. And then, I mean, that's the defending national champion. It doesn't get much more difficult than that. And I know in the ranking, maybe Duke and UNC are a little bit higher, but trust me, I've seen even this year's Florida State up close and personal. They are absolutely dominant in every phase of the ball. Wingate, she has been too, though. Beats her defender for a moment. Now Agresti catches up. To the byline, Sigala went down. Van Zanten, dispossessed beautifully by Agresti. Dribbled out of pressure for the moment. ACC PM with Mark Packer, Trey Boston, and Taylor Tannenbaum. They're talking football, but we'll also have the latest from around the conference. Weekdays, 4 Eastern, right here on the ACC Network and on the ESPN app. You can watch anywhere, at any time, even if you miss it. Watch it on replay. Quick free kick restarted by Notre Dame. If you're just joining us, a 3-0 lead for Notre Dame. Here's how we got here. 22nd minute. Maddie Mercado's 7th of the year. Perfectly set up by Wingate. And then she gets on the scorebook herself.
I mean, and then let's just talk about this third goal from Kiki Van Zanten. That ball in the middle, it's the turn and the finish. Come on.
I could talk about that goal for the rest of the match. I mean, for the last 15:49, we could literally break down that turn.
Honestly, something that is so impressive to me about Van Zanten is I've watched her defensive effort all game. I've watched her close spaces. I've watched her put in the work. maybe she's not actually winning the ball, but she's doing the work to get there into the space so that BC can't actually build through it. So she's doing all that little stuff. And then on the attacking end, she's adding herself, having a fantastic turn and a great finish. She's a very complete player right now. And it's really cool to see her in this different role that she's playing deeper in the field, obviously doing all that extra work that you don't always see on the stat sheets. And then, oh, by the way, she'll just add herself to the stat sheet with a goal like she did tonight.
Her third of the year. Van Zanten, number 7 in blue for Notre Dame. We're going to hear much more about her, you would imagine. Only a senior, so she has a 5th year left if she wants to take it for COVID. I mean, break that down for us.
Well, it's the way that she turns, because she has a player on her backside, but when she turns, her player continues moving and nobody steps. That angle made it look, it was in slow-mo, right? Looked like there was a lot of time and space. There was not when it was fast. It was very quick. It's the turn and she got it off her foot. She knew where she was on the field too, so that shot was more of a placement with a lot of pace to it. Well done all around.
I expect to hear more from her on the international side as well. She has already had caps with the Jamaican national team. Played in the CONCACAF Women's Championship and didn't just play, but scored 2 goals, including in the 3rd place match against Costa Rica. Also clinched the group. Wingate using that pace. Enters the 18. Flashback across. One more try for Notre Dame. Sophia Fisher's shot blocked. And BC survives. Van Zanten tried to set it up for Honstein. Agresti. Notre Dame will not keep the pressure off BC's defensive third, even with a 3-0 lead. So they've now scored 26 goals on the year and conceded just 8 times. And Mackenzie Wood has only given up 3 the entire season. Strong run now for Boston College. Into the box it goes. Mency went down. And back out to midfield. Just under 13 minutes remaining before we get you out to Clemson for Thursday primetime. Goggins, as BC empties the bench just a little bit, trying to get some more ACC playing time to some younger players. Goggins, the sophomore from California, can't outrun it. Ella Richards getting set to re-enter. And she will do just that. Best friends with an opponent. Corbin Albert for Notre Dame, the 3rd-team All-ACC player last year as a freshman. They played a lot of soccer growing up together, capturing some cups in the ECNL as well, and getting a chance to see each other on the pitch here tonight.
I love that. We know there's so many like friendships that are built through national team and youth national team stuff, but I think it's really special when you have those club moments. And obviously players in Richards and Albert who played together for a long time, right? They're little babies basically in that first picture. So it's really sweet to look back and just know that they'll also face each other year over year. It's really cool.
Both growing up in the Chicago area. And yeah, they're both sophomores, so the same age. Still plenty of years of eligibility and matches still to come. And 2 top players in this league, really budding stars. Ella Richards, who has 3 goals this season, 8 of them last year, including 3 braces. Not too bad for your first year in the ACC. And not only great friends growing up through college or through soccer, but you're both playing in the ACC. I mean, that's pretty impressive. What are the chances that both of them developed into these terrific players?
Yeah.
Corner coming up for BC. last-ditch effort to try to get one on the board. Can only work one at a time. They need 3, of course, and there is no overtime anymore in college soccer this year. So once we hit triple zeros, that's the end of the match. Second corner for the Eagles. Here's Laura Govin to take it. Dealt away, and that'll go out of bounds on the sideline. Lefty cross in. Settle down. Slotted off the crossbar. Andy Barth nearly got one back for the Eagles.
When that ball was rolling back to Barth, you could just sense it. It was a good pace. She was able to step through it, had the time. Unfortunately, hits that crossbar. She's in the right place, and that's a dangerous opportunity from BC. They put pressure on the initial corner. It's the second ball back in that then falls to the foot of Barth. Unfortunate, couldn't get it to go.
That close to breaking that scoreless streak in the 81st minute. Govin on the long throw. Sent into the box, comes to the feet of Notre Dame. Here's Lowenberg. Out wide, Govin. Crossed in. Looking to find feet here. Still a scramble in front of goal. Volley wide. Richards. Smith was in there as well.
BC is putting the pressure on right now, and it's not the absolute cleanest, but they're making enough happen because it's dangerous in front of that Notre Dame box. They're forcing players to step out. Notre Dame isn't super organized. It's a little bit chaotic, but it's working out for BC with these opportunities.
It's very chaotic. Barth earns the byline. And just steered clear by Honstein. Sometimes chaos in the box, though, not a bad thing.
No, not at all, especially right now. And on the defensive side, though, we haven't said her name a lot, but Waniya Hudson has been outstanding for Notre Dame. The way that she's stepped to their wide players, she's won a few good balls in the back that didn't look like much, but if she didn't get a touch on it, it would have been dangerous for Boston College. She's a player that Nate Norman was just raving about her ability to connect high-level passes, and if you watch what she's done tonight, she finds feet. She plays simple, but if she plays it long, it's going right to the player she's looking for. She's been really good for Notre Dame for years, and she's consistent in doing just what she does every single night. You're seeing it tonight, and it's the stuff that doesn't always show up on the stat sheet.
Yeah, to your point, coaching staff calling the senior from New York the unsung hero of this team. It doesn't show up in the stat sheet. And honestly, if you're just watching it and you're seeing who has the ball more and, you know, who is really making the attempts happen, Waniya Hudson doesn't exactly stand out. But you're right. Every time that BC has the ball in a dangerous spot out wide, it's Hudson just shutting it down immediately.
And that's a good sign of a strong outside back, but you have to remember Notre Dame's playing with 3, so she has a lot of ground to cover when she gets into the, not the attacking side, but when she steps up higher, more into their like attacking third area. It's a lot of ground to cover, but then she can track back. She doesn't give her attackers space either. I was watching her earlier in her 1v1. She didn't win the ball, but she didn't have to because she forced her attacker to cough the ball up. And it's those little things that really set her apart.
That is seen out by Laura Govin. But when you got 9 teams in the RPI top 30 in the ACC, there are going to be some important matches on the horizon. We know that. Syracuse and Wake Forest on Sunday, noon Eastern on ACC Network. And you can see that big one, Florida State, Notre Dame. I know that the Fighting Irish have that one circled on October 9th, noon Eastern time on ESPNU. Florida State, Virginia, of course, jumps right out at you. I mean, you could put ranked matches all over the place when you're talking about this conference.
I think everyone has Florida State circled right now on their list. That's one team you're always looking at. And that's what is so impressive to me about Florida State is they get every single team's best. They have to be playing at their, maybe not their absolute best, but they have to be performing at a high level because no matter who they are playing, it doesn't matter if it's a national championship, we've seen them in there a lot, or if it's an ACC game non-conference, any team they are playing is giving them their best because they want to knock off a Florida State.
It's pretty incredible, Morgan. We've talked about this. It doesn't matter who the Seminoles lose. You're talking about a two-time Mac Hermann Trophy winner in Jalen Howell, Yuji Zhao, Emily Madrill just over the years. I mean, these are prime players that have gone on to play pro and have all of this success just in the early part of their careers. And it's like nothing changed. I mean, Jody Brown is just tearing it up and scoring goals all over the place. One Echegini comes in from Mississippi State and immediately fits in perfectly. It's Clara Robbins takes her game to a new level. We already mentioned Heather Payne playing on the Irish national team with BC's Ava Omani.
Well, and then if you want to add in losing Jalen Howell, who played a massive role, obviously Mac Hermann Trophy winner, but you have Leilani Nesbitt then really switching roles and playing that 6 for them. And they don't look like they've missed a beat at all. And by the way, okay, Mark Krikorian's going to move on. We'll have a new coach in Brian Penske who plays a different style. He's letting his team play how they're used to because it works for them. It's wild.
Last year, Tennessee was in that 4-4-2 diamond, but not adopted. It's the 4-3-3 that Krikorian installed. And it doesn't matter what formation they play, it seems. It's been really fun to watch the Seminoles transition into this new era so effectively and efficiently.
That's why the ACC is so fun, too. I was talking with a peer recently, just about last week, and I was like, I just told her, this is so fun. Teams knocking out Notre Dame, knocking off number 2, Pitt knocking off Notre Dame. Boston College, 85 minutes scoreless, 0-0 against UNC. Granted, didn't work out, but come on, that stuff to celebrate. It is so fun this time of year because you truthfully never know how every game's going to go. As an analyst, makes it a little bit difficult because you really don't know, but it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, but that also makes it more fun, right?
Even as a fan, I watch as a fan still. As an analyst, I'm a fan. It is so fun.
And if this is the first time that you're tuning into ACC women's soccer, I think you can agree that the style, very appealing and easy on the eyes. Some of these teams really do play the beautiful game. Virginia, one of them, of course, Florida State that we mentioned. Notre Dame connecting passes all over the place against Boston College here tonight.
And a lot of them play similarly, but it's different. UNC and Notre Dame play pretty similar styles with that fast pace.
Flag stays down. Villabrandt just gets it away from danger. Back on the attack, Albert. She'll go from long range. Flirts it over this crossbar, but that was not too far off from that distance. Thursday night primetime coming up when we are finished in a couple of minutes with Notre Dame all over Boston College. Jen Hildreth, Lori Lindsay will be with you from South Carolina. Just a few minutes before kickoff there as the lead up continues. The pressure builds, the anticipation. You know what the environment in Clemson is like if you're an ACC soccer fan. And we'll get you out there. So do not move at all once we hit 000s tonight in Newton. Looking for the run of Honstein. Oh, good defensive work back, Costello. I mean, even Boston College, who has had a rough go of things when you look at the scoreline, but I mean, they've had moments of brilliance as well. And you can see how the future could be very bright here in Massachusetts.
It's been moments on the attacking and then defensively. Costello, Agresti, obviously Omani. We saw her come up big time over time. And Govin, so good tonight. it's easy to look at the goals against, but that individual defending that they needed to be better at, they were. I think Costello and Agresti learned in the first half and made adjustments. And Govin, that 1v1 defending out wide. Fantastic work from them tonight. I hope they hold on to that, right? It's easy to get frustrated with the loss, but they did what they needed to do out wide against some very strong attackers from Notre Dame.
Jason Lowe will go back and watch the tape, and they will figure out what to fix heading into their next matchup against Syracuse. But for Notre Dame, it was taking care of business on a Thursday evening. 3 goals, 2 of them within a 1-minute span in the second half. And the Fighting Irish are back to 500 in ACC play. They improved to 2-2, and Boston College is 0-4 now in the ACC. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back to wrap this up in just a few moments from Newton. Kiki Van Zanten, absolutely beautiful. Clinical when it was all said and done for Notre Dame in this 3-0 win. Started off with a beautiful feed from Wingate to Mercado.
They needed to be clinical, and they were. And then it's Mercado to Wingate for the second one, and then come on, Kiki Van Zanten. It's the turn in the middle, gets that ball on her right foot, and finds that far left